Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex or Nuzz here, and in today's episode of Road to Partyhat, we are going to be taking on some bosses that I have been grinding for many months, bosses that I'm super dry at, and also we're going to go to some other bosses that I haven't touched in many years and see if they're still good money. Now, usually with these episodes, it's me dueling with my friend, or I'm just soloing, but in this episode, there's a twist. During a lot of the bosses, my usual friend group is just normal main accounts, but with a recent change made from Jagex, Ironman can now PVM with mains. My friend happens to have a hardcore Ironman that's a pretty impressive account and already at the endgame just itching to boss. But now we have to be extra careful because one wrong move and he could lose his account. The bosses we face today will come with a much higher risk, and you'll see some unfortunate repercussions of that very shortly. As is tradition, we stopped into our friend the good old giant oyster. He lurks deep under the sea and has a slight chance to reward adventurers billions of GP after you feed him. Well, if he decides to bless you, that is. It's truly up to him. Players can receive huge rewards such as dyes or even third age. Will he bless us today? Let's see. Our first loot is a dragonhide body, so 1.6 mil, not too bad seeing as fortunate components are probably on the rise right now. Luckily, I do have my monthly reset token, so we can trick the oyster into thinking he's still hungry. He's kind of an idiot sometimes. The second loot is more chaps to go along with our top, but a free 3 mil is something I'll never pass on. No die today, but maybe it's because I insulted him. First, we're gonna go and visit a boss which I haven't done since episode 2 of this series quite a long time ago, Barrows Rise of the Six. A place that used to be the pinnacle of group content is now, well, a little easier. However, the loot is actually still pretty good, with the shields being 40 mil or more for a few of them. But remember, not all is safe, as I'm going with my friend who is a hardcore Iron Man. Now, for the most part, I remembered how to rots. We decided to do a side each and duo since it was late at night and we didn't know who else to invite. My side was pretty easy for me since I had better gear than him. I usually got it done in around 30 seconds or less. That's truly the power of stacking mobs with chinchampas. Now, my friend did his side pretty smoothly for the most part. We were actually having a great time. I was happy to get him his first few kills of rots and happy to just be back at the boss again. It was pretty fun. But then disaster struck. I heard my friend's cat rustling in the background and all of a sudden I couldn't hear my friend on Discord anymore. I looked over and he's not moving. Okay, I panicked. I wondered if there was anything I could do. But sadly, I just had to sit there, watch him sign, and watch him die on his hardcore. His cat had knocked over his router and disconnected his internet. An accident or a homicide. You decide for yourselves. After this, my friend has just one life left on his hardcore and he was pretty dejected, but he got back on the horse and we continued to face the very place that killed him. His cat, on the other hand, was never heard from again. All in all, we ended up getting a ton of malevolent energy, which goes for around 800k each, so not too bad for such quick kills. I had been extremely dry here at Rots. I had done hundreds of kills and had never gotten a drop on the log, but during the end of our session, I ended up getting a malevolent kite shield, which although is the cheapest kite shield, it was a nice surprise and finally nice to have some sort of drop on my Rots log. Now, recently I decided to do some Slayer, which is not something I usually do, but I wanted to test something out for a video, which are the Slayer masks. Now, these double drops on every 10th kill of certain Slayer mobs, so I find them really cool, and I just realized that I had so many in my bank, so I decided I wanted to try out a few. I eventually do want to get the Ultimate Slayer title, which has a ton of rare drops like the Hex Hunter bow. I have all like the wilderness drops except for Lava Strike Worm, so there's a lot of cool drops to get from there. So I decided to go and do the Abyssal Lords, which are a really good mob to use the Abyssal Mask at, because you can get the Abyssal Scourge, which is like 300 mil, and you can potentially have it doubled by this. Now, I hadn't done much Abyssal Lords since the release, so a good while ago, but they're actually quite nice when there's not a million people fighting for them. My mask ended up doubling a lot of the different common drops, which was decent. I mean, nothing too crazy. I was also doing all of these on Slayer task basically the entire time. I got the task from using the Abyssal Masks to get free tasks every day, so it wasn't too hard to get them. I ended up being blessed with some big luck, and I ended up getting the Abyssal Scourge drop, a huge drop for the collection log. I got really lucky here. It's also a really nice chunk of cash for me as well. It gets me a little bit closer to that party hat. I'd say it was a pretty successful adventure, just spending like 3 or 4 hours there, since I don't really do Slayer that much now anyways. Now, I decided to venture out to Raksha. Now, you guys know I love Raksha, one of my favorite bosses in the game, and something I realized is the drops are kind of crazy now. So when I did Raksha, Greater Ricochet was basically the main drop. It was like a bill, and all the other drops were basically kind of trash. I mean, the Shadow Spike was decent, the Greater Chain was like 100 mil or so whenever I got them, and Divert was basically like 10 mil, so it was basically Greater Ricochet or bust. But nowadays, Greater Chain was like 7 to 800 mil, and Greater Ricochet is still like 800 mil, close to a bill. So now Greater Chain is a huge drop as well. And I know I have the log complete, but I decided I would go do some with my friend, so we went on and did some Raksha. Now, I'll admit at first it was a little bit rocky because I hadn't done it in a little bit, but you know, it's like riding a bike. It came back pretty easily, and I just love this boss. It's just amazing. I don't know. There's something about it that I just love doing it. I know some people might disagree, but it's probably my favorite boss in the game. At least top 3 for sure. And in our duo, I ended up getting a pretty nice drop in my name. Not crazy good, but still a decent drop. We got the Shadow Spike, which goes for around 200 mil or so. I ended up splitting with my friend and just keeping the spike so I could have it in my log, but I gave him his split, and that's about an 100 mil profit for both of us. So all in all, for a quick little trip to Raksha, I think I did maybe 2 or 3 hours. I'll take it. Now I want to talk about a boss that I've been doing basically since release. I haven't done it constantly, I haven't grinded it constantly, but it's a boss that I'll go for an hour here or there and have been doing so for like a whole year. That is carapack, hard mode carapack. Now I usually go with my friend in a duo, but my friend wanted to do trios with his hardcore Iron Man, so again, extra risk here. I don't think there's really any way we can kill him there, but don't sleep on us. We might find a way to kill him, or his cat will just decide to do it again. So I forgot to mention, we kind of had a dilemma since my friend has a hardcore Iron Man. If he gets a drop, he can't really split it with us because it's on his hardcore Iron Man. So we could decide he either splits with us through his main account. So if he gets a drop that's like 500 mil, he'll give us each the split on his main account out of his own money, and then of course keep it on his hardcore Iron Man. Or we can do something where it's a free-for-all, where everybody just keeps the loot they get. If you get 5 drops, you keep them all. It's basically like back in the day when you didn't, you had loot share and you just, see who gets the drop, who gets lucky, who has the best RNG. And we decided to do that because we didn't really care. We weren't like too dying to, go and split things, and we didn't want to make him split from his main, so we just said, hey, we're going free for all. I've been using a bow a lot because big arrows are extremely good. I've been using basically them at all bosses that are poisonable with Cinderbanes and stuff, and it's just a really powerful combo, and I used it here too, and it was incredibly fun. Now, we really didn't have many close calls at all with my friend's hardcore. I mean, trio carapack, the kills are like 2 minutes, and the only real way he's gonna die is if he messes up, or we just screw up and forget to stand under carapack, and then maybe he has a chance to sign. But with hard mode and trio, it's not that difficult compared to something like solo, which is a whole nother beast. So no issues there. But if you guys know, I've done a lot of videos about carapack, and on my log is wrist straps, and more wrist straps. That's all I have on my log. I have the pet and I have wrist straps, and I've been trioing, duoing, and I've even done a few solos basically since it came out. Every now and then I'll go and all I get is wrist straps. I don't have, a codex. I don't have a scripture. None of that, just the wrist straps. But the RNG gods were looking out for me because I got a drop I would never have expected. I got the most expensive piece of the Staff of Armadillo, free for all. That means I get to keep it all to me. I kind of felt bad about it, but we did all agree on free for all, and my friends are way richer than me anyway. So here is the reaction to that if you want to hear it.
Oh! Let's go! Oh my god!
So yeah, safe to say I was definitely not expecting that. I didn't even know I was recording my voice, but thought I'd throw that in there for you guys. But there it is, a 1.4 billion GP drop. 1.4 bill is, I think, my most expensive drop ever, as I got a greater ricochet when I think it was 1.2 bill. So 1.4 bill, I think this might sell for a little under, like 1.3, 1.35, but we've got it. We're keeping it in the loot tab, and the loot tab is looking insane right now. So as for the bank, it is looking pretty nice. I ended up buying Seismic Wand and Orb just because I have so much extra cash lying around from the recent drops I've gotten, and I'm kind of stingy when it comes to spending my cash. I kind of have like seeing it being built up, but I decided to buy those so then I can mage a little bit if I want to. It's not the best mage setup, but I still do have, I've had Elite Tectonic for probably 2 years now, or a year and a half, but it doesn't really get much use because I'm mostly ranging, so I got that. And the loot tab is looking really juicy. We've got the Armadillo Simple still, we've got the Shadow Spike, still waiting on that Glacior drop. We've got the Malevolent Kite Shield. We've got a ton of nice stuff in here that I'm building up, so really happy about that. And if we go to the Wealth Evaluator, it says we have 11.1 bill, but I think that number is actually closer to 12 bill because of some things that don't register right on the loot tracker or the wealth tracker, but still 12 bill. I think that's 2 or 3 bill made since the last episode, and we're getting closer to the party hat. We're still a ways away, but the price was at one point like 100 mil for a party hat or something. Now I think yellow's like 40 bill, so it is definitely obtainable, and we are going to get that done. Next episode, I hope to see this number at like 15 bill, maybe even higher if we get lucky, so stay tuned for that. Make sure to subscribe to see that episode. If you want to watch the previous episode, if you missed that, it is linked here, so make sure you check that out. And yeah, leave a like as always if you enjoyed this style of video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.